Hello YouTube, long time no see, 1 week to be exact. It is Vlogtober day 26th and I am coming to you live from my basement. I typically have a couple of books going in rotation because I will listen to a book on CD during my morning and evening commute to and from work. I will have a book that maybe I'm reading on my Kindle because then I can, carry it around and have several books going on the Kindle. And then I typically have a book for my book club and then just some things that I'm reading for pleasure in various medium. So right now, my book on CD, my commute book, is still Elizabeth Gilbert's The Signature of All Things, which is fiction, and I'm enjoying it very much. I'm still plugging through this From Here to Eternity. I think I had mentioned before I was on this sort of death kick earlier. I was reading From Here to Eternity. I had also read a book called Even Vegans Die, which is just about getting your end-of-life things in order and how to be a compassionate caregiver as a vegan or for vegans. So that was an interesting book as well. I mean, certainly not an uplifting read, but a necessary read, I think. And at the time I was also watching 6 Feet Under, so I think I'm over the death thing now, more or less, which may be why I'm struggling to finish this. I'm about halfway through. It's entertaining, but I've lost a bit of steam, so I need to find the steam. I'm also reading this, speaking of not having steam or being steamy, this book called Melt in Your Mouth. It's written by, the author is Sky Cole, which actually is a pseudonym. I know the two women that wrote this. And it's part of what they're calling the Mocha Magic series. This is, how do they call it? Romantic erotica or erotic romance. I am not a prude, but I have to say that, I don't know, reading, maybe it's because I know the two women, but reading modern erotica as opposed to maybe something by Anais Nin, it just, I don't know, it makes me feel awkward. Again, it could just be that I know the women and I don't know. So I'm kind of struggling to get through this, not so much because of it being a bad or a good book, but just maybe because I'm not necessarily entirely comfortable with the content. And again, I am by no stretch a prude. It's just maybe it's the romance I don't like. Maybe I just want them to be like, hey, we're having sex and we don't like each other. I don't know. I'm kidding. Another book that I'm reading is, or I'm attempting to read, is Monstrous. This is volume 1, and I believe it's just a collection. It's a collection of comic books. This is my book club pick for November. And basically I need to get crickety cracking with this because I think I have about 2.5 weeks to read it. But I find comic books to be really difficult. And I think it just has to do with, you sort of have this, well, for me anyway, you're kind of moving in frames, like you go over this way here and then down and then back to this panel, down to this panel, then this panel, then this one. And there's these little blurbs of dialogue. As a child, I might have read Archie comic books, but I was not interested in comic books, if I could say that. So as an adult, I find this concept of comic books and graphic novels to be very difficult for me to read, in the same way that anytime I pick up a book that's sort of super stylized, maybe has like ultra wide margins, 8-point type, and it's in red on a brown background, it just drives me bonkers. Like, I like beautiful things, but when I'm reading, I do not need something beautiful hampering the reading process, if that makes any sense. Now, I just probably sound like I'm griping about everything. And I am, apparently. And then the last thing that I'm reading, this is through Amazon Prime, called Coming Clean, a memoir. This is a memoir about a young woman who is an actress in New York City, and it's the story of growing up on Long Island with a mom who suffered from bouts of depression, a father who suffered from depression, and who also was a hoarder. And this is a really difficult book for me to read. I seem to be reading books right now that are really difficult. So 3 of the 5 books that I'm reading are difficult for me to get through. I'm neither a prude nor a neatnik. My house definitely, I need to sweep and I need to dust, but my house still looks tidy because John and I don't own a lot of furniture. We don't have a lot of knickknacks. We don't have things lying around. So I can't imagine living in a house that not only is jammed with stuff, but is just useless stuff like, old food wrappers. And to the point where, you have vermin living in your house and you cannot shower or bathe because neither the tub nor the shower are functional. So this is a really difficult book for me to read, but the author's writing is very engaging, and because of this through Prime, I'm also able to have a free Audible download, so sometimes I choose to listen to the narration. And I'm not sure that it's the author. I think it might be, but the narrator does a really good job as well. And I should also mention that in The Signature of All Things that I'm listening to during my commute, that's the Elizabeth Gilbert book, it's well written and it's well narrated. That wraps up what I have for you for day 26 of Vlogtober. I will see you tomorrow. Have a great evening.